Welcome back, guys. It is November 13th. It's actually my wife's birthday. So happy birthday to my wife if she's watching this. I already did a nice little thing for her, and she's not even here. She's actually at work in a different state. So kind of unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So what are we doing today? Because it's been a minute. Well, I haven't been riding this, as you can tell. We're still at the same total that I hung up with you guys last time. And there's a very good reason for that. We're going to pick up my new bike today. Yeah, unfortunately, we are saying goodbye to the F3R. This bike has been fantastic for what it is, but it just does not suit my needs, unfortunately. I went into this thinking that, you know, this is the perfect bike for a sports bike that I could have possibly asked for. And in a lot of ways, it really is. There's just a few things that obviously knock it down for me. Number one, it being as rare as it is, it does not have this parts and maintenance support that a lot of other brands do, which is a real shame. But, you know, you kind of got to go into that with an open mind of like, okay, yes, this is an extremely rare machine. There's not that many of them out there. And you just kind of got to set your expectations to, you know, realize that, you know, you are going to be missing out on days of riding if something goes wrong. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. And unless you have a second or a third bike, you know, it's a very real possibility that this thing could go down for weeks, months at a time, just waiting on parts. Fortunately for me, that has not been the case in my ownership. I mean, mind you, I haven't had it super long. I mean, 700 miles is literally just over the break-in. So realistically, anything over, I don't know, maybe 5,000 miles, I would say, is pretty solid ownership of a motorcycle. That's kind of been the other thing that's been kind of irking me with this bike. As much as I really, really wanted to ride this thing all the time, it just realistically was not the machine for that. You know, I could have, but again, realistically, it just doesn't make sense for that. So last we left off, we were working the deal on a Tuono V4 factory, a brand new one. And lo and behold, Faye Myers came out on top in terms of making the numbers work. So I did place the pre-order with them. Despite all the government shutdown stuff that was going on, I just decided, screw it, I'm just going to make it happen, because who knows, you know, by the time it actually gets here, the shutdown's probably going to be over. And lo and behold, I was right. I seriously did not expect that. I mean, literally, the timing could not have been more perfect. So basically, I want to say it was just shy of 3 weeks ago, we did the pre-order on this thing and officially made it, you know, a contract, more or less. And the shutdown literally just ended last night. Literally just got signed into law by the president and signed off. Like, you couldn't time that any more perfectly. So not only am I still getting paid, thankfully, and we have been getting paid, us active duty AGR guys, which has been amazing. Thank you to the president, the Secretary of War, and everyone else involved in that. I know it was not an easy task, especially given, you know, what was going on. And I'm really grateful for the fact that it wasn't just us, you know, getting paid and taken care of. There were other programs that were still being funded as best as possible. But, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people were not being paid and were not receiving their full benefits, which is a real shame. it doesn't matter where you fall on this issue, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats' fault, because quite frankly, I feel like there's plenty of blame to go on both sides. Anyway, so regardless of who you point the finger at for blame, because there's plenty of blame to go around, ultimately, a shutdown is never a good thing. It just isn't. And the fact that this one dragged out as long as it did was just it's totally unacceptable and unfortunate. There's just way too many people that got screwed. Way too many people that got screwed as a result of this. And I realize that a lot of them are probably going to end up receiving, obviously, their back pay like they're supposed to. But I think what it also caused was a lot of government employees, regardless of what sector they're in, to reevaluate whether or not they wanted to continue on as a government employee just because of things like this happening. And mind you, they are extremely few and far between, very rare to happen. But yeah, it happens. It sucks. It is what it is. Fortunately, we're coming out of it. We're getting everything back to normal. Everything should be right as rain, at least for a little while, until, of course, this continuing resolution that they signed has to get redone, because of course it does. Oh. Hopefully this is an okay place to be. I don't want to get run over by this truck, and I definitely don't want to get run over by this van. It's going to be a bittersweet moment, because I do like this bike, and it's been great to me in the short period that I've owned it. But it just doesn't match with what I need. It's way too aggressive for the street. I need something that's more comfortable. Unfortunately, the Tuono actually fits that bill perfectly. It's just the right amount of aggression and power and seating position. The one thing I did notice that I kept thinking about it, like after the test ride and all that jazz. The one thing that I kept coming back to was how buzzy the bars are from factory for the Aprilia. So bar ends are probably going to be like absolutely necessary on that thing, which, it is what it is. Fair enough. Not that big a deal. But it's something that I did have to think about a little bit. So I already have a pipe for it. I picked up a Leo Vinci, so that'll go on along with a Heel Tech. So that way we don't get any errors or anything like that for the servo. Eventually, after I get through break-in, I think I am going to go with an up nap just for fueling purposes to try and, level it out at this elevation. Now, I mean, mind you, so these bikes, they run pretty lean from the factory at sea level. The one thing that's kind of nice about the fact that we're so high up in elevation, them running leaner should mean that we're actually getting appropriate amount of fueling for this elevation right out of the box. It shouldn't be too awful bad. But it is something that I am going to have to, pay attention to, obviously, during break-in, is being awfully careful about, following the procedures and everything. Because I do realize that these bikes, all Italian bikes, it doesn't matter what brand, but they all have their own quirks and little knickknacks that just become a total pain in the ass to deal with to somebody that's used to Japanese bikes, where you basically, almost don't have to do much. So I am paying attention to that aspect of it. It is a thing. I'm actually kind of surprised this thing hasn't thrown me any kind of weird errors or anything. It did cough a little bit on startup after sitting for as long as it did, but other than that, it was okay. Honestly, I was kind of expecting it to throw at least some kind of error at me, but it didn't, so we're good. Obviously, the quad lock's been pulled off. A lot of the stickers have been pulled off. I got all my stuff off of this thing. I did ask them if they wanted any of the stock parts, and they honestly just didn't care. They said, we'll take it as is and give you X for it. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm not getting exactly what I put into it, obviously, because all things considered, I'm still having to come out of pocket for this new bike. Not nearly as much as I would have if I'd gone through Imperial. Yeah, I don't know how long I had to literally sit there and wait for you to make your decision. What are you doing? This person's freaking me out. I hate it when people can't make a decision as to like where the fuck they're going. It's like they have no clue. They're just driving aimlessly almost. Like they're just on the road to be on the road. I get nervous every time I look back because... So we're kind of screwed either way that we do this lane filtering thing here in Colorado, right? So if you lane filter, yeah, you're less likely to get hit. But the problem is we've got so many people that are just pissed that bikes are able to do that for whatever reason. And the result ends up being that they end up hitting motorcyclists out of like retaliation for the fact that we can get ahead of them at a light. It's fucking crazy, but they are getting super, super aggressive towards motorcycles out here. Just general traffic. It's not even any particular type of person. It's really obnoxious, honestly, because it's like, okay, well, what do you want us to do, right? Like, we don't have vertical fucking takeoff, and we're small enough that we should be able to literally just get the fuck around traffic, get out of the way, so that way traffic can actually move a little more freely. But no, we're not going to let that happen because you cut me off and you're clearly going to the same place that I am. So dumb. So dumb. Ugh. I know I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with this shit, but like the last couple times that I've been on the road, regardless of whether I was on the bike or just in my car and I've seen it happening, it's legit scary. Because it's like, what the fuck is the motorcyclist supposed to do other than basically just play Frogger and try to avoid getting smashed? I mean, it looks like it's like 3 or 4 o'clock, right? But in reality, despite the fact the bike is saying it's 2:30, realistically, it's actually closer to like, well, I say 2:30, it's like 2:50 according to that. It's actually 1:50 because I never updated the daylight savings time on this thing. So 2 o'clock, it literally looks like it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The daylight savings time out here sucks. Like, yeah, we kind of get like our mornings back a little bit, but our evenings, the sun is literally setting like so early that it's just like borderline stupid. That's definitely a cop. Hopefully he doesn't get upset over the fact that I got kind of close to him. I just didn't see how I was supposed to pass without doing that. Yeah, hopefully this process is pretty quick, considering I already own the title of this thing, and I'm literally just paying cash. The last one was pretty quick, but I don't know how fast the process is with trade. I'm assuming it should be pretty quick, but I don't know. And I'm literally giving them like everything that came with the bike, apart from the stock exhaust, the stock pressure plate, springs, retainers, and clutch cover, and obviously the stock windscreen, and I guess the stock mud guards. But like literally, you know, all those stock parts, they didn't even want them. I don't know, maybe it's more appealing to somebody that, you know, comes in, looks at the bike, and basically says, okay, everything's already done, which I guess makes sense. Well, here we are, Faye Myers. I'm assuming the bike is inside. Wouldn't make sense for it to be outside, I guess. I'm curious what they're going to end up listing this for. My guess is it's probably going to get listed for somewhere around 16. Maybe north of that, but I doubt it. It is the only F3 that's semi-new for sale in the Denver metro area. I know there's one that's like kind of up north, but it's like a 2018. And I think he's got like, I don't know, 1,000 miles or 1,700 original miles on it. So the thing like never got ridden, right? And he bought it new. And he's trying to ask like 19 or 20 grand for it. And I'm like, dude, that thing is never going to sell, especially private party for that. Jesus, dude. Could you possibly have been any slower? Let's see here. All right, dudes. Say goodbye. This is the last time you guys will ever see this one. Boys and girls, welcome to the 2026 Aprilia Tuono V4 factory. Brand spanking new, and she's all mine. Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this again. I'm crazy. Shout out to that man right there, Austin, for taking care of me again. The dude is a legend. This bike is insane. So insane. So I already notice just sitting on it, I am going to have to adjust a few things. It's primarily just the levers themselves. They're angled a little too high for me. God, it feels so much nicer to be on this bike than it does on my MV. My former MV now. She is officially no longer my problem. As sad as that is to say, it's the truth. Oh, man. It's going to be like learning how to ride all over again. So, here's a fun fact. None of them, including Austin, have messed with one of these before. This is a totally new thing. Like, literally, Austin hasn't played with, like, any of the menus or anything on any of these new Aprilias yet. So, it was a totally new learning experience for him and for me. I obviously didn't play with it too much on my test ride with Imperial. So, it's going to be a learning curve for me, too. I can tell you right now, though, this thing is way too quiet. That Leo Vinci exhaust that I've got has to go on this thing, like, almost immediately. I will end up having to throw a map on this thing, for sure. I still don't really know what any of the settings are on this thing. I got to bust out the manual and really play with it. But there are so many different modes and settings in this thing. I mean, I literally might as well be speaking plain English, and this thing is speaking full Italian with zero comprehension of what I'm saying. It's be interesting to see how hot it gets, because ambient temperature out here right now is like in the 70s. Could be spicy. I just don't know yet. It's already in the 190s, so it's not exactly running cool. This thing is wide. It feels wide. So this thing is doing the same thing that the one that I test rode did, where it feels like the shifter is just a little loose. I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I just think that I might have to mess with it a little bit and see if I can get it dialed into my happy place. Just got to remember, these are brand new tires, so I definitely do need to be conscious of that. And I am obviously using the clutch, trying to make sure this thing gets broken in properly. So what do I think so far? Well, it feels the same. Definitely needs calibrating. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of settings in this thing that I need to calibrate and get more into like where I'm happy with it. Because right now it's not quite the way I'd prefer it set up. I did obviously check the Stegosaurus tail on this thing to make sure it's super tight, because I have heard that that is a thing with these. They do like to fly off randomly. There's a couple fixes for it, and I'm obviously going to have to get around to doing that so it has a nice positive click and it doesn't do that weird thing where like half of it's clipped in and the other half isn't. Oh man, I can't believe I'm doing this again. I am crazy. This is a sickness at this point. It really is. I would like to have my mileage displayed. Okay, first stop. Can I get in it? Nope. There we go. Okay, neutral. We're good. Just took a minute. That's all. No biggie. I am going to have to find its happy place. There's a lot of things that still need some time to break in, and I would love to know exactly where it is in terms of mileage. But I don't dare try to fumble with this thing right now while I'm trying to get through rush hour traffic, which is a total clusterfuck, as you can tell. All right. This mirror needs to be adjusted. This one's not so bad. It's the other one that's not great. This is like the worst time to be trying to bring this bike home. This thing cools off pretty quick, because it was at 214 there, and then I did that short little stint and it went down to 201. So that's good. Oh, this is terrible. How am I supposed to break this thing in properly if all these people are just stacked up like this? Yeah, okay, so the fueling down near like $3,000 is kind of off-on-ish. It's not too bad. It's kind of similar in the way my MV was in that sense. It just doesn't like lugging down at low RPMs, which is fair. I mean, this thing is basically a race bike with handlebars, so man, what a disaster this is. Holy shit. Yeah, I like how quickly this thing cools down. It doesn't take long at all. I mean, mind you, in the summer, that's going to suck because it's going to get like in the 90s, and then this thing's going to be struggle bussing with that kind of heat. So the tune is definitely going to make a big difference there. But so far, I'm pretty impressed. It is, like I said, a little on-off-ish. That could just be settings related. That and the fact that it's still brand new, so it needs time. Yeah, suspension's a little stiff. Again, settings related things that I can fix. And there's 5th. There's 6th. Okay, so we're finally able to get into the gears a little bit. Be good, don't be an asshole, so that way the cops don't look at you weird. I'm excited. What a great start to a new chapter. I feel like I'm really struggling with the levers in their current position. They definitely need to be adjusted, because right now, like, I feel like I'm way up here, and I feel like they need to be more pointed downwards. Like, even 10 degrees would make all the difference in the world. Yeah, this thing's still trying to figure out its happy place. We'll get there eventually. Still early. I think ultimately, long term, this was the right choice for sure. I'm so much more comfortable, even with my legs tucked up as high as they are. It's just amazing how much of a difference this body position makes. Yeah, you can hear it hunting a little bit. I think it's the elevation. It's still trying to figure out, like, okay, it needs a little more fuel, needs a little less fuel. You know, like, it's just like, it can't find its happy place yet. Spend a little more time in the revs. Kind of stretch it out a little bit more. There's definitely some more wind, obviously, because it is a naked bike. Well, semi-naked anyway. But I'm okay with it. It's comfortable. It's very, very comfortable. This is miles ahead in terms of just rider comfort. All right, 6th gear. Cruising along. Making sure dipshit doesn't fucking run into me. I hate it when people do that shit and they start moving before I'm even close to them. It's like, dude, stop. Literally stop. Still rolling through the gears. Try to make sure everything's nice and happy. Sorry if it feels like I'm kind of just rambling, talking nonsense, but honestly, I'm just trying to get a feel for this thing and make sure that I'm in a comfortable position as well as the bike. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, this thing is so advanced with, like, all the little systems and things that are on it that honestly I'm gonna have to probably spend like a good 2 weeks just figuring out what the hell this thing is, like, what it's all about. In terms of just usability and accessibility to features, this thing just blows the MD out of the water. It's kind of insane, really, if you think about it. Because both bikes were basically about the same retail price. Obviously, the difference in quality versus, you know, one versus the other is substantially different. It smells a bit like candle wax. I wonder if that's the exhaust breaking in. I'm not even kidding you. It literally smells like a burning candle right now. That's got to be the corrosion stuff that they put on these things from the factory. So what do we think? Think this is a permanent stable member? Because I sure as fuck do. Oh, God. This thing is so awesome. I have tapped not even 1% of this bike's potential, and it already feels 10 times more amazing. It is truly incredible to me just how advanced this bike really is, especially for the price tag. Don't get me wrong, Ducatis are beautiful bikes, but why the hell would you spend the extra money, even for just a base model Street Fighter V4 compared to this? The price difference between the two is insane. Now, I get Ducati obviously uses a more powerful engine than this, because it comes straight out of the Panigale V4, and it's only really restricted just because it doesn't have the same air induction. But that said, I think the biggest thing that you're paying for, other than obviously name, is the difference in quality between the two. Because, I'll be honest, Ducati plastics are definitely ahead of this. No doubt in my mind. This is more along the lines of like what I'd expect from a Suzuki. But that said, it still looks good. It still looks clean. It's just different, right? Different strokes for different folks. Some people prioritize that quality difference and can justify that spend, you know? Now, one of the reviews that I did see from another writer who does vlogging said that this has EC3 in it. That's not the case. It has EC2, but it's been recalibrated. Like, they've further massaged the system so it's more responsive and it's better tuned for the bike. Honestly, I prefer that. I would prefer older generation tech that they've spent more time with getting dialed in than the newer stuff where they haven't had enough time to really get it like happy. That's been my first impressions. We have a lot of content coming forward with this because I guarantee you we're going to be racking miles up on this thing when the weather allows it, because unfortunately we are getting close to winter at this point, so that is going to suck. But that said, we are going to be putting miles on this thing, no doubt about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you're excited like I am. Until next time, see you guys later.